Thank you, Mr Hollowborn, and it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanships this morning. May I start by paying tribute to the Honourable Member for Argyll and Bute for securing today's debate and for his advocacy on this issue as chair of the APPG for Yazidis, and for very clearly setting out the steps that our government can take to correct a wrong. Mr Hollowborn, I'm an ethnic Kurd, and I also share with the Yazidis in Iraq. I speak Kurdish, which is another thing I share with the Yazidi Kurds. And in 2014, I watched helplessly as thousands of Yazidis were having to be dislocated from their homes, and I felt really helpless at that point. I wrote to my MP, and I tried to get their voice. I tried to get our MPs to recognise, and I'm proud to be here today to voice and to be a voice for the Yazidis and set out and support some of my colleagues who are here supporting this debate. But I was really pleased, finally, when the debate in 2016 did happen in this House. So, as we've heard, it's not the first time that this issue has been brought in front of the UK Parliament. In April 2016, the voice of the House was expressed very clearly, and they voted, as has been heard, 278-0 to recognise the atrocities that were committed by Daesh against the Yazidis and other religious minority. Unfortunately, Mr Hollowborn, the government did not listen then, deeming that it was up to credible court to make such a designation. Well, we know the criteria has been met, as we've heard from my friend for Argyll and Bute, as a result of the conviction in Germany. So I'm very keen to hear from the Minister what steps our government will take in response. Chair, too often, sadly, it feels like these discussions are treated just as symbolic and merely a gesture to be made. This approach completely fails to acknowledge the duty imposed on states under international law, the particular role developed nations like the UK should play, and the real stories behind the genocide. By recognising genocide, we are not just making a statement. We are taking practical steps to support those affected by the atrocities committed. In the case of the Yazidi genocide, the stories from victims should compel all of us to act. Mr Hollowborn, Daesh did not just seek to eradicate the Yazidi people. They sought the utter destruction of a community, their culture, and their dignity. Article 2 of the Convention on Prevention and Punishment of the Crimes of Genocide sets out the Prohibition Act which constitutes genocide. One such condition is deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in the whole or in part. And it is on this that I wish to focus the remainder of my remarks. By subjecting women to organised sexual violence and enslavement on such a massive scale, Daesh undoubtedly sought their physical destruction. Rape, mutilation, forced sterilisation, these are just some of the things Daesh subjected Yazidi women to. This was not just violence. This was not an act of war. This was an attempt to systematically break the spirit of a people and bring about their physical destruction. We've heard this morning harrowing accounts of Yazidi women and girls from other honourable members. If I may, I want to share one of the testimonies from a girl who was captured by Daesh at just 12 years old. She said, "We were registered. They took our names, where we came from, and whether we were married or not. After that, ISIS fighters would come to select girls to go with them. The youngest girl I saw them take was about 9 years old. One girl told me, if they try to take you, it is better that you kill yourself." This girl, as I said, was just 12 years old when she was captured. She was held by Daesh for 7 months and was sold in that period 4 times. She was not thought of as a child, as vulnerable. She was treated as a commodity to be traded for the gratification of ISIS men. Daesh had so low view of a value of the Yazidis' life that they stripped away all basic humanity and treated these women as mere goods. So recognising the Yazidi genocide isn't a gesture. It isn't symbolic. It is an acknowledgement of how these women suffered and a commitment to help them. We know that thousands of Yazidi remain missing, yet we do nothing. We know the humanitarian crisis is ever growing, yet we do nothing. We can no longer stand by, Mr. Hollowborn, and look the Yazidi people in the eye and do nothing. Recognition isn't an end point. It isn't a conclusion of our responsibilities. It is a start of properly understanding the events that took place and playing our part in ensuring that they never happen again. The government must act now. The government must take steps and call this what it is, a genocide. So I look forward to the Minister's response, and I look forward to hearing his views on the criteria that has been met and hearing what our government will be doing. Thank you, Mr. Hollowborn.